Okay, that's it. Jungle champs, there was a bit of confusion yesterday with the listed Diana brand changes. These are mostly focused on jungle since their primary roles are still a bit stronger. This is an effort to open up the meta a little bit more. Hold on, let me actually understand this correctly. Their primary roles are a bit stronger. Yes, Diana mid lane is stronger for majority of players than Diana jungle, but Brand? What do you mean primary role for Brand is stronger? Brand's primary role is just jungle, so what are we saying? For Lee Sin, we're looking at a power neutral change to increase a bit of his early skirmishing power because of his mid-late game armor. Botlane, this patch we're trying to do a bit more meta shift away from Yunara and Sivir, but some of the more spellcaster-oriented ADCs are going to rise up. There are also a few champions like Jarvan and Jinx that have been a bit weaker than their typical resting win rate and mastery curves would indicate. They're not super far off, so they're just getting a bit of a pro-focused notch in places. Jarvan is his early fighting potential and Jinx in her ability to play matchups at level 1 or combo of LICC. Mid champs, some of the burst champions have become a little bit weaker. While this is more of a pro-focused movement for now, we are aware that there are some non-pro champions that need similar treatment. So they're probably thinking of like Lissandra here. There are a lot of them that will require more of a concrete effort. Our strategy for this in the short term is to create a more clear segmentation between champions who take more durable builds, raw builds, and champions who are a little bit more squishy and burst-like in nature. Yeah, Riot, like, you guys had, like, several months to address the problem of Catalyst of the Eons, which is the strongest epic item in the game. For some reason, like, I don't know why this has been kept in the game so long. It just makes, like, the whole game so bad, right? Like, think about it. There was Symbiotic Souls meta in mid lane, and Riot patched it out after one patch or two patches because it was obviously brain dead and bad for the game. But why are we not nerfing Catalyst of the Eons? Like, Roa is not that big of a problem, like, Catalyst is the problem. It cannot have 2 Ruby Crystals in the build path, and it cannot just give this amount of mana and HP for 1300 gold. Like, it's just ridiculous. Okay, whatever. Moving on. So, here are some changes of the patch. So, Ahri is gonna get our base damage up by 15 to how much is this? 35, and then late game 55 or what, if I'm understanding. So it goes up by a lot. So right, it's 15 damage, but you can proc it multiple times. So yeah, in theory this can end up being a lot more damage, and obviously the buff is skewed towards late game a lot. Is this the reason why professional players are not picking Ahri? I probably don't think so, right? Like, the problem with Ahri is just that she doesn't really have winning matchups. And then mid to late game, she's just very burstable because she doesn't really build any HP. She's not like a Bloodletters user, and she has very low armor. So like for example, if you play Ahri into Tristana, and Tristana's like 2-3 items, she can do like E auto, and you're dead. Like, no cap. So, I kind of doubt pros are gonna pick up Ahri after this buff. Brand monster damage goes up by 0.5, so this is very small jungle clear. Brand jungle, I think, is like, let me actually check. Brand jungle is brand low analytics. I think it's like 46 or something percent. Okay, never mind. Emerald plus brand jungle right now is 50%. Diamond plus brand jungle is also 50%. So Brand jungle win rate wise is actually doing completely fine, and there's a very high chance that this will actually push Brand into being played by pros, right? Especially with so many other junglers like Pantheon getting nerfed here. Like in Fearless, you will eventually maybe be able to just pick Brand. W AP ratio up by 10, R AP ratio up by 5. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously like lane Brand is also benefiting here, but I still think jungle Brand is his best role. Caitlyn 2 AD, very nice buff for Caitlyn, mostly like laning buff, but again, the problem with Caitlyn is that she suffers from the minion changes in the game. A lot of champions either benefit from the minion changes or suffer from the minion changes. The reality is that it's just a lot harder to freeze now in lane and get lane leads over people. And a lot of bot lane matchups is just pushing, and in professional play you have lane swap. Yeah, you can pick Caitlyn Bard into like Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's gonna lane for 3 levels, and then she's gonna lane swap. And then you're gonna play a lane swap game, and then laning phase becomes irrelevant. That's just how life is. So they can buff Caitlyn all they want, but I just don't think she's making a comeback in pro because of these minion changes and because of home guards and all this stuff. Like, you just can't abuse matchups well enough. Diana jungle is gonna get her passive reverted back to 3x. For those that don't know, Diana passive used to be 3x and she was considered very OP and playable a lot. Like she was very, very oppressive in solo queue and even occasionally I think seen pro play back then. Then they nerfed her. The passive is going back to 3x. I think there's a very high chance Diana is very OP in jungle. Not just in solo queue, but also very pro viable. Now, a lot of people have been saying, well, Riot wants Diana Yasuo to be played. I doubt that. Like, of course, some people are gonna play Diana Yasuo and maybe fall for the trap. But it's just bad because the Yasuo is just a bad champ. Like you play Diana without Yasuo. Draven W attacks with up by 10%. Our base damage up by 25 at every rank, which is mostly an early game buff. Is this a pro-skewed Draven change? Maybe a little bit. But again, it's kind of similar to Caitlyn. I don't think this champion is going to see pro play. This champion just simply doesn't scale well enough, dies to everything later. You can play like Zeke's, for example, against him, completely turtle. You can lane swap against Draven. It's just not a problem anymore in pro. Like, this will just not... I mean, I think Draven needs a buff anyway, but I don't think we're gonna see much Draven. Now, Jax, we have our armor gain on first champion hit goes up by half. Our armor gain goes up by half. Obviously, people over the internet have been losing their minds because this is basically probably one of the biggest buffs of the patch to a champion that doesn't need a buff. I said this yesterday, or like when we did the patch preview. Yes, Jax is getting a buff for no reason. Like his win rate is completely fine. Riot is pretty much forcing Jax to be meta at Worlds. I guess they like Bin, right? But there's not much to say. There's even a Reddit thread right now on front page stating that why does Jax is getting a buff? Are these Jax buffs really going through? Yeah, people are super mad. This is absolutely ridiculous. He's getting 2 cloth armors on a level 6 all-in. Like, there's so many matchups that this is going to completely swing an all-in. Yeah, just ridiculous buff. Jinx, Q rocket bonus range goes to 100 and E damage goes to 90. So, let me walk you through these changes. These are actually just reverts. Jinx used to have this number on Q and used to have this number on E. And a lot of people have been like, I've seen a lot of people on social media have been saying that like Jinx, okay, now we have to play Jinx, she's really good, what are these buffs? Like to me, in my sense, I just don't see why people would think that these buffs would all of a sudden make Jinx that much better. Because I just don't see it. Like 20 range on Q? Yeah, sure. Some matchups this is actually important. For like level 1 spacing, it gets you through laning phase. Okay, sure. But this buff is only impactful till like level 5. Once you're like level 6 and onwards, this is whatever. And 20 E damage, yeah, a little bit of an early game buff, right? You can pair, especially pro players, they hit E more because they pair it with an ally CC. You play like Rel Jinx and you pair it. But is this really why you're playing Jinx now? Like you haven't played Jinx this entire time in Fearless. And because of this small change, you're gonna play Jinx? I just think this is delusion. Like sure, Seaver is getting nerfed, but like there's plenty of other ADCs that are very good spot. I just think if pros play Jinx now and not before, it either Jinx was good before or they're just delusional about these buffs. LeBlanc getting an absolutely insane buff. W AP ratio up by 10%, WR AP ratio up by 5%. Now this you might be thinking, well, it's just 10 damage in the early game, right? When you're at 100 AP, and then it's like 20 damage when you're 200 AP. You might be thinking like this is nothing. No, this is insanely a lot on a champ like LeBlanc. LeBlanc is a champion that relies on lethal thresholds. She's an assassin. She heavily relies on either having enough damage to burst you or not having enough damage and falters. That is how LeBlanc works. Getting any fraction of damage on LeBlanc is insane for a champ like that. It would be just as insane on a champ like Fizz. And this is also a wave clear buff. It's not only a damage buff, it's also a wave clear buff, and this will matter. And LeBlanc build is Ludens into Storm Surge. This is her best build. It's a high AP number build, which means that AP ratio buffs on her do actually decent amount compared to like, I don't know, some other champ that builds Raw or something else. Yeah, this buff, LeBlanc will still have the same issue, right? Which is that the game will go naturally long enough where maybe she doesn't have targets to burst and then she becomes just a useless poke bot. This will be a problem for LeBlanc for sure. But this will definitely, you can definitely consider picking LeBlanc in Fearless. In jobs where you have full squishy so she can pop people, she can definitely be played. Lilia, our damage goes up by 50 at 50 all ranks and 5% AP ratio, and our cooldown goes down by 10. Honestly, I honestly think the cooldown buff's kinda bigger here than the damage buff, and I don't know if this is like a big buff for Lilia. I guess we're seeing the win rate, but my feeling tells me that like R is just not the spell that you care so much about the damage. Like the cooldown you do, but the damage just mostly comes from like dots and stuff from her. So I don't know. It's a decent buff. Mel. So, Mel passive damage per spell will go from 2475 to 2499 plus 3%. This is mostly a late game skewed buff on passive. Maximum passive damage will go up. Okay, so the reality here is that I think that this is probably like a correct way of buffing Mel. I think the passive is a little bit underwhelming in my opinion, especially late game. You're not incentivized to auto a lot. You auto a lot early, but later on you don't. Later on you usually just spam Q and E and never auto. So I think this is like the correct way of buffing Mel. And this will just be like, yeah, I don't know, 0.5, maybe 1% win rate. It will add up a lot of damage. Like later in the game, if you do like 3 spells and then an auto, passive will maybe do like 50 more damage to a target. Maybe 70, 60, depending on how much AP you have. This will matter. Seraphine. Also, this kind of buffs like high CDR Mel builds, by the way. Seraphine, already commented on this. These are just really nice stat buffs for solo lane Seraphine. Q damage applies to monsters. I don't think Seraphine jungle is viable. It will just help her jungle a little bit more. And then the W will work basically, if you're 3 or more people, it will be nerfed, but if you're solo, it will be buffed. So it's basically a mid lane skewed buff as well, because Seraphine mid plays with less people than Seraphine bot lane. Overall, they are nice buffs, but I don't think, I don't know if this is gonna make Seraphine that much better. I feel like she's just, her spells are super dodgeable and she doesn't have a lot of damage. I don't know. I just think she needs more. Corki. 10 damage last on Q, 5% last, also scale, okay. Yeah, nerf for Corki for pro play, not much to say. Pantheon, monster mod even down further. W minion cap also down, so I think now when you red buff or blue buff and you W with Pantheon, the damage is going to be a little bit lower. So this will matter. So I have to comment here this a little bit. I see people on social media complaining, like so many people complaining that why is Riot nerfing Pantheon jungle clear speed? Can we nerf something else? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what else can you nerf? Like, are we being intentionally stupid here? What else can we nerf on this champion? We obviously don't want to nerf top lane, support, I don't know, mid lane Pantheon. They're nerfing jungle Pantheon. This is the only lever that Riot has to nerf jungle Pantheon. There is no other way to nerf jungle Pantheon without nerfing top lane Pantheon severely. So what the fuck are we saying? Genuinely, what are we saying? This is the only way to nerf Pantheon. It's correct. And I do have a feeling that he might fall out of pro meta simply because his clear will be too slow. And clear speed matters. Because right now Pantheon clears not too fast, but he still clears decently fast enough where he can kinda not fall behind and still get camps because he scales really well with gold and stuff, right? Bruiser items. I think this will honestly make his clear be like 330 or maybe even slower than 330 at full clear, which will be insane. If your champion clears a 330 full clear or even later than that, you're not pro viable. Simply, you're just not. No jungler in the game is played at 330 or less of a full clear. So it will depend on how fast this champ will be able to clear, but my feeling is that this might be a final nail in the coffin. Poppy. Q HP monster minion cap down by 25 to 170. So let me actually just think this a little bit through. So if you go to Poppy Wiki and you scroll down and you see when this got buffed, it was buffed right here. So the old number used to be 50 to 170. And this number right now is 50 to 170. So this is the old number where Poppy was not played at all. So this could be enough of a nerf where people will not consider playing Poppy jungle anymore. Although I do think that this champion conditionally is just OP anyway. Sivir, Q bonus AD ratio down by 15%, damage loss for Sivir, they're nerfing her. Okay, I still think that maybe Riot should nerf Sivir W. I think that spell maybe is a little bit too strong, like over buffed, because they buffed it a lot early game. I would personally go for Silver W nerf because it's just like she kind of like just automatically has push in every matchup because the W is one-shotting every wave from level 1, and that's the issue, I think, not the Q. So I kind of don't like this nerf. I think they went from the wrong ability because Q is the ability that you have counterplay to because you can dodge it, but W is just too brain dead. So, okay, champion adjustments. Lee Sin loses 0.4 armor growth. Q damage goes up by 5 to 25, but loses AD ratio. What? This is just a nerf to the champ. Like, what? We're nerfing Lee Sin? Like, in my opinion, based on solo queue metrics, Lee Sin is like, whatever. He's not doing well. This is a billion% a nerf. Like, there's just no other way to spin it. This is 100% a nerf. I have no idea why they're doing this. Weird to nerf Lee Sin when I just don't understand. I don't know, just weird. Syndra. So HP growth goes down by 4, so she's losing like 50 HP roughly, level 18. Armor goes down by 0.6. So usually Riot, when they nerf a champion, they when they nerf 0.5 armor growth per level, they usually nerf 1% win rate of a champion. So this here alone is 1% win rate of Syndra. Q damage will go up by 5% and 5 base. Q is an ability she uses a lot, so 5% AP scale is a good buff. ECD goes down by 2. So here's the funny part. With ECD being down, Riot is obviously trying to nerf high haste builds on Syndra because, you know, with CD being lower, you're less incentivized to buy haste. And by AP ratio being up, they already did that with Syndra W and E. They're trying to incentivize high AP builds on Syndra. Now, the big question here is this going to make you play less Cosmic Drive on Syndra? The answer is no. This will actually make you even play more Cosmic Drive on Syndra because they're nerfing her base stats. She needs to be tankier, and Cosmic Drive is the only item that makes you tanky on Syndra. So you will actually be even more incentivized to play Cosmic Drive with these changes, which is fine. Is the champion buffed or nerfed is the question. I think if you're really good at Syndra, it's a buff because a really good Syndra will obviously play spacing really well and ranges really well. And she will be less punished by armor growth nerfs. And she will probably like the ECD more and the AP ratio more. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Syndra loses win rate in solo queue, because I think this lever alone, the armor growth, is a big hit to Syndra that people don't realize. So I'm maybe expecting actually Syndra win rate to go down here, unironically. But for me, she's gonna be fine. Celestial opposition no longer slows if the user is that. This is a Nico W nerf. Thank you. Thank you. I do think Nico is a completely useless champion. And this champion should be buffed, in my opinion. I know she's played in pro and people think that she's like OP support. I think she's useless. But I also think that this should not be in the game. This should have been patched like ages ago. Absolutely fucking stupid mechanic that she just sends the clone to die and then it just mega slows you. Completely brain dead mechanic. And Nico has like 50 brain dead mechanics. This is just one of them. Redemption is 50 heal nerf. Yeah, a little bit more incentivized to buy Locket. I have a feeling that Korea will still buy Redemption first item every game. Unsealed Spellbook, nerfed by half. So it used to be 5 minutes, then it went to 4, now it's 4.5, right? And yeah, so it's like halfway nerf back to the original one. It's still obviously buffed, but is this gonna make Unsealed Spellbook a lot worse? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes. I think there are other runes in place. Like you are, I mean, the thing is like if you're playing melee supports, you will probably still play Unsealed Spellbook in some cases. You're playing Alistar, Rel, you're playing Rakan. Some games you will still probably go this. But for example, with Alistar, some games you will go Phase Rush, right? But if you're playing a range support, you're gonna play Airy, in my opinion, not Unsealed Spellbook. If you're playing Braum, you might be playing Guardian. You might not be playing Unsealed Spellbook. So it just depends on the champ you're playing. Like if you're playing Bard, you're more incentivized to go Electrocute. I still think that some champions, like like Alistar will still be Unsealed Spellbook user or Rel, I think. Like in majority of games, because I think it still probably is the best one for these champions. And you're still gonna be able to make like this TP plays in competitive and stuff. So I think this is a good nerf. Yeah, Korea is still gonna play Ancest's Spellbook and Redemption probably, but these are good nerfs. They're good nerfs. It gives you option to go alternatives, and they're equally as viable. So yeah, Riot, if you're watching this, don't put this Jax buff in, don't put this LeBlanc buff in, and then the patch, and then consider Diana passive is a little bit overbuffed, and then I think the patch is considered okay. And also, don't nerf Lee Sin. What the fuck are we doing? That's it. That's it. That's it.